I, Richard Billhouse Nixon, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
The American presidency is perhaps the most powerful and revered position in the world.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
But even in the dawn of the Republic, the Founding Fathers, worried that a future leader might be corrupted by power, wondered how Americans could remove a president who had gone rogue. They came up with an ingenious solution. Congress, that co-equal branch of government, would be given the constitutional right to remove a president from office. But the process was designed to be difficult. The bar was set high. It is a two-stage process. First, the House of Representatives has to vote by a simple majority to impeach the president. But that is just a black mark and an embarrassment. Remember, an impeached president stays in office. That was the fate of Bill Clinton, impeached, but remaining as president. But then, secondly, there is a trial in the Senate. The 100 senators are the jurors. They must decide whether the president is guilty of treason, bribery, or other high crimes or misdemeanors. Only if 2/3 of the Senate, in other words, 67 senators, vote to convict the president, is he then removed from office and evicted from the White House. That has never happened in American history. Andrew Johnson in 1868 and Bill Clinton in 1998 were impeached but never convicted. Richard Nixon saw the writing on the wall and resigned even before he was impeached. Now Donald Trump faces all of the drama and the theater of impeachment. Will he survive that ultimate test set by the founders 232 years ago?
So the president has been impeached. Now, that doesn't mean that he's being removed. It only means that the case moves from the House to the Senate for a trial. So what happens next? Well, technically, the House has to transmit the articles of impeachment over to the Senate. And Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi has suggested that there may be some delay so that members of the House, the Democratic members, can get some assurances that the Senate will actually conduct a trial and not throw the case out right away. Remember, Democrats have the majority in the House, but in the Senate, it is the Republicans who control. But assuming the articles of impeachment make it over to the Senate, the first thing that will happen is that the minority and majority leaders will meet and try to hash out the rules. Because the Senate has the sole power to impeach, they also have the sole power to determine their own rules for the trial. There's a lot of procedure the Senate needs to hash out. How long will the trial be? Does any side get to call witnesses? Who exactly would be called if called as a witness? And just because the Senate did it a certain way in a prior impeachment, like with Bill Clinton or Andrew Johnson, does not mean that they have to do it the same way again. In presidential impeachments only, the Chief Justice presides. But even that is a strange word because, with just a majority, the Senate could technically overrule even his decisions. The answer to the question of how long this will take is a big we don't know. We don't know when the articles will be transmitted from the House to the Senate, and we don't know when the Senate will decide on its own rules and timetable for conducting the trial.
On this vote, the yeas are 230, the nays are 197, present is 1. Article 1 is adopted.
The House voted to impeach President Trump on 2 counts, abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. But we're only halfway through the process. The Senate has to hold a trial now, according to the Constitution, to decide what punishment, if any, to dole out to the president for being impeached. Even though the president is impeached, it doesn't mean he's removed from office. An impeached president can still serve out his term and run for re-election, just like Bill Clinton did. However, it's up to the Senate to decide to convict or acquit the president on those impeachment articles. The Constitution says if he's convicted, he gets kicked out of office. The Senate can also take another vote to decide to prevent this president from ever running for office again. There aren't many, if any, rules in the Constitution about how to hold a trial, though the Senate did pass rules in the 1980s outlining some parameters. But for the most part, what a Senate trial looks like is totally up in the air. We know that House lawmakers will serve as prosecutors, who are called managers. We know that the president can appoint his counsel.
It looks like that, yeah. Pat Cipollone. We have a couple of others that we're going to put in, but Pat's been fantastic as White House counsel.
And we know that the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, John Roberts, will preside over the trial, with senators acting as jurors. But beyond that, it's totally up to the senators themselves to decide what to do. Are they going to call witnesses? Senate Republicans don't seem like they want to at all, while Trump seems like he wants to.
If this ends up here in the Senate, we certainly do not need jurors to start brainstorming witness lists for the prosecution and demanding to lock them in before we've even heard opening arguments.
The House has built a very strong case against the president. Maybe that's why Leader McConnell doesn't seem to want witnesses.
Are they going to allow new evidence to be presented? If they do have witnesses, will they be videotaped depositions that are aired on the Senate chamber floor, or are they going to allow lawyers to cross-examine these witnesses? Are they going to make it 2 weeks? Are they going to make it 6 weeks or a couple months? It's all up in the air right now.
I'm not an impartial juror. This is a political process. There's not anything judicial about it.
I'm going to be very closed-minded about this process.
There's nowhere in the rules that I've seen that a Senate trial has to be totally impartial like a criminal trial. Senators do take an oath to promise impartiality before the trial begins, but our founders chose to leave impeachment and its punishment in Congress rather than giving it to the Justice Department, for example. And that means they understood this was a political process. Everyone was expecting the Senate trial to start in January after the Christmas break. But right after the House impeached President Trump, Democratic leaders threw a wrench into that plan.
We're not sending it tonight because it's difficult to determine who the managers would be until we see the arena in which we will be participating.
Pelosi is considering withholding these articles of impeachment from physically moving over to the Senate floor. That's the procedural process that triggers a Senate trial. She is open to holding these up to try to get leverage among Senate Republicans to call witnesses, especially those in Trump's orbit who might have known more about his Ukraine efforts and didn't testify in the House. Senate Republicans have said they don't really want to call any witnesses. What Pelosi might be doing here is trying to exploit what Senate Republicans want out of a trial, a quick, no-show, no-drama thing, and what President Trump wants out of a trial, which is all the witnesses in the world, especially Democrats who he thinks he can cross-examine to try to undermine his impeachment somehow. How a trial looks isn't entirely up to Senate Republicans. The whole Senate has to vote on rules before they get started. That means there needs to be some Democratic buy-in into how things work.